What's up, guys? Dr. Mo here from beautiful Santiago de Compostela. I'm in Bosco de Ribeira. Bosco de Ribeira, a bit of a Gallego word. It just means El Bosque de Ribeira. Ribeira is, Ribeiro, is a region here that actually produces a lot of grapes. So there's Ribeiro wine. I think there's a white wine and a red wine variety of it. And I just came out here for a walk. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Behind me is the river Sarella. There is the Sar, the big Sar they call it, and the little Sar. This is Sarella. And behind me are homes with some fincas, like some granjas. They have little farmlands. Not all of them are cultivated. You can see over there. There's a little bit of a, right there, right there. There's a bit of a stone walkway, and you can get to the rest of them. And a lot of people have just a ton of land that they don't really use, and just tons more land behind me. And actually, you may not be able to see it, but right across on the other side, up there, are some homes, really close to Sarella, the water here. Yeah, I just came out for a walk. It's been a beautiful day. It's been just wonderful being in Santiago de Compostela, being back. And the weather is just incredible, very cooperative. Let's see, February 2022, February 4th or 5th or 6th. Sorry, I don't even remember. It's a Sunday. That's all I know. And usually around this time, it's colder. Like out and about here, probably be in the high 40s. Right now, it's probably in the high 50s. And at night, it always kind of drops down into the 35 to 40s range. So definitely turn on the heater in my apartment. And a lot of people out and about, actually, even though I guess we're in the middle of this fifth wave or whatever we have. A lot of people are vaccinated. Everybody, I think it's like 99% vaccinated now. Actually, it's 100% double vaccinated, so 2 vaccinations, but I think a huge percentage already got their 3rd vaccine, and I think a lot of people are coming up with their 4th. They're passing a new rule that within like 6 months or something, or 7 months, 8 months, you have to have had a recent vaccine. So, well, that's Europe for you, and those are the rules. You just follow it, you'll be fine. So, all right, what is this video about? I guess, I appreciate all the comments you guys have and all the questions you guys ask. I think one thing that a lot of people are drawn to in this channel, as far as physicians, is this the allure of travel. This ability to be able to travel and go wherever you want while living the kind of lifestyle that you want. And it's funny, I just got this text message from my sister, and we're just talking about the life back home, kind of in the U.S. She's in California, and I could see how you could feel a little bit lonely sometimes in the U.S. Right? You have a lot of responsibilities. You feel like you're pulled in a lot of different directions. You feel obligated to your job. Got to work, make money, please a lot of people, and that can be so exhausting. And then the loneliness, I think, so that's kind of the overwhelming part of work and responsibility. But I think the loneliness part comes from just not having anybody that you can connect with, right? You have all these other people who are pulled into so many different directions with kids and significant others and taking care of elderly family members and responsibilities. And they're involved in a lawsuit, and they're involved in traffic tickets and all this other stuff, the daily, day-to-day deluge that you have to. Where's the sun so I can block it? I guess I can. All right, can you guys see me? I guess you guys can see me. And you just feel like why even bother? Why try to hang out with family members? Why try to make any effort with somebody else and leave work, rush, traffic, and then get to a destination, have a drink, and then gotta rush home and put the kids to bed? It just feels overwhelming, and then you start feeling lonely because you don't connect. And when you do connect, it's sort of like what we as physicians feel right now in the workplace. You run into the office with a patient and you're having this quick conversation. You don't really connect. You don't really get the patient. You don't really get to know the patient. and then you leave, and so you just feel empty. You feel like you didn't do a good job. You feel kind of guilty, kind of empty, kind of like, what's the purpose? And I think it's the same thing with human connection. You sort of need that one-on-one, slow conversation, chatting, talking, just sometimes sitting next to each other and not saying a word and connecting. And I think a slower lifestyle can afford that. Traveling can afford that, but I don't think you need to travel to have this. Inevitably, every time I'm in the US, I feel rushed. I feel like I want to do a lot more stuff than I'm capable of. I put too much on my plate. I want to work. I want to make money. I just feel that pressure. I feel the pressure. I feel the pressure to work, to make money, to try to be productive, get a lot done in the US. And I feel like my friendships fall by the wayside. Like maybe we'll get together, but we'll hang out with friends, we'll do some things, but it's just not the same. When I travel, I feel, not that I'm on vacation, don't get me wrong. I'm always trying to do something with my time that I think is things that I enjoy, things that I like, but it's also things that maybe make me feel a little bit more productive, like I can belong to some sort of a working society. I don't even think that's a good thing. I don't even think it's good to have that mentality. It's just something that's bred in my mind. You guys got to see this view. I just love that view of these trees there in the background. I'm just going to give you that view, so enjoy it. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like I have to be productive, like I have to get a lot done in order to be a productive member of society. I've put in my dues. I've worked. I've gotten mortgages. I've bought homes. I've paid back student loan and debt and saw a shitload of patients. And I've done that, and just getting away from that mentality and instead trying to be like, hey, where's my fellow human being? What are they doing? What are they up to? How can I help them? And then maybe somewhere on that path, you end up figuring out how you can make a difference, how you can be a productive member of society, because it doesn't always have to be money or income driven. If you believe that, and many people do, I get criticism all the time. Hey, you're not working, you're not giving back to society. Then how do we really feel about the mothers who raise kids at home, the housewives who don't have kids, but they're home, what are they, homemakers they're called, and husbands who stay home and are homemakers, so they're also not productive members of society? Is that true? Is that appropriate? Is that legitimate? Is that just stuff that we construct? And so kind of tying it back into traveling and being out and about here in the world. And like recently I was in France. I just got back from Paris, which was just a beautiful place, as you guys saw in the previous videos. Being back in Spain and this just gorgeous weather and just this landscape. I don't know. It does make me slow down. It does make me appreciate it. Like this morning I woke up. I went to bed probably at midnight and then just watched some YouTube and fell asleep, woke up at 6:30, 7 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I'm like, it's still dark here, right? It's February and it's Europe, so it's totally dark. And I pulled up the blinds. We have these external blinds. And I just heard the birds. And it was just so great. It's so peaceful to just hear the birds in the background chirping. And I looked outside. And everybody's asleep. It's Sunday. Everybody's dead asleep. At like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., right before I actually woke up, there was a huge crowd of kids, who had finished partying and just going home. That's pretty standard here in Spain. And it was just wonderful to be part of that, to be able to wake up and then today come out and just listen to the water from the river here and the birds, and the dogs barking. Yeah. So I do appreciate it, and I want to make this something part of my lifestyle. I want to make this so that it's not a vacation. It's sort of something that I do here, and I can be productive, and I can have friends, and I can, still go to the gym and do all that stuff. But it requires a certain sacrifice as well, because you're away from family, you're away from friends. So if you talk about loneliness, you could come to a place like this by yourself, which is what I did. 2017, I went to Sevilla for 3 months, and then Barcelona for 3 months, and then I went back home for certain reasons. Actually, I went back home to get a visa, and then I went for 3 months to Sevilla. And then because of the medical board investigation stuff, I had to go back to the US. And then I came back out, and when I came back out, it was just great. But I was always by myself. I was here in Santiago, and I had to get to know people. I had to make my own friends. And that's difficult, that's not always easy. You can feel lonely. You can feel like, oh, what am I doing here? What's the purpose? And I think if you're going to travel, those are the things that you're going to kind of explore. And those are the things that you might have to overcome as a person. And I think if you don't overcome those back home, if you can't find some joy, some happiness in the place that you're at, be able to self-entertain yourself, be able to do things on your own without other people around, it's going to be, to me, it's going to be just as difficult doing it once you're out here, out in wherever you go. But on a brighter note, I'll tell you that you will make friends. You will talk to people. You will eventually come out of your shell, if that's what the issue is. If you're in your shell, you will talk to the barista, and then the barista knows another person, and then you start talking to that person. Or you go to the gym and you meet somebody at the gym, and you start talking to that person, and you start letting go of that concept of like the only reason to talk to another person is because of a business meeting, work related, or because you're hitting on them and you're trying to date them. Like when you let go of that mentality, all of a sudden the whole world opens up to you. You can be buddies with a 90-year-old dude. You can be friends with a 12-year-old kid, and you can be friends with this gorgeous woman that you normally would be intimidated by, or you'd be trying to pick up on, or this handsome, gorgeous guy who's the bartender who you want to hit on. It's like you let go of that, and now you're kind of focusing on friendships and connections and meeting their friends and going out with them, and like, what can you give back? Well, they have English meetups, so you go to the English meetup, and you make friends there because you speak perfect English and you can teach them English. Those are the things that connect you, and those are the wonderful parts of traveling. And then you, I guess, feel a little bit less lonely. So those are some of the comments and things that I've come across on my channel. For physicians, obviously a big thing for us is the identity of being a doctor, and like, can I not practice medicine? What's going to happen if I don't practice medicine? I think you'll be fine. You take a year, 2, 3, 4 years off, you come to Spain, right? With very little money, you can have a really wonderful lifestyle in the Spanish Peninsula, near northern parts of Portugal. In Portugal, you can be in Italy. Italy's cheap. You can be in France. There's many parts of France that are affordable, other parts that are pretty expensive, and you'll be fine. You have some savings. You eat through your savings. Is it the end of the world if you go through your savings, right? Is what's going to happen if you spend out of your savings? Eventually, you'll probably go back to the US and you'll work full time. Look at me right now. I haven't worked a full time gig in probably since 2017, right? I've always been traveling. I've been out and about. But what have I missed out on? And what is it that I can't go back to in the near future? I can always go back to a desk job, right? And, doing telemedicine or working in a clinic. That's always available to me. But if right now you're feeling that maybe that's what you should do, is to just leave, just fucking do it, man. Just get out and go. Don't worry about taxes. Don't worry about, I get a lot of questions on this channel like, oh, how am I going to make money online? But don't worry about that in the beginning. Just have your savings, come find a really cheap apartment here, live here, see if you like it, travel around, go 3 months in Spain, go 3 months Turkey, come back for 3 months to Italy, go back 3 months to Turkey, and just experiment and see what it's like. You can get apartments for less than 1,000. You can make your own food for 300. You can go to coffee shops. You can go to gyms for less than $1,500. You can have a wonderful life here. And it doesn't take that much savings for us physicians, right? Cash out your 401k. Fuck your 401k, guys. I'll tell you right now, fuck your 401k. If you're saving it for a rainy day and that rainy day never comes, that's a beautiful bird. It'll be so depressing. Use the money now if you feel like there is something better and worthwhile to spend it on. I've cashed out my 401k twice, and every single time everybody said I was an idiot. Well, the first time I was an idiot because I was spending it on stuff that was, I guess I wasn't an idiot. I shouldn't say that, but I spent it on cars and stuff like that. And the second time I spent it to actually pay down some student loans. But the point is, if you actually do it for something more worthwhile than what I did, it makes sense. And I don't think I regret it. I don't know if I would go back and not cashed out my 401k, because having done it also has given me a little bit of that confidence that, I'm able to do it. But I would probably go back to my previous self and be like, is there another way of doing it? Maybe take a loan out against it. And I just didn't know those things. I get asked questions about coming here and like taxes and do you become a tax resident and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess you do. Maybe you don't. Talk to a tax attorney. It doesn't matter. If you're coming here and you're having a great time and you're enjoying it and you have to pay taxes here, pay taxes here. If you end up not paying taxes and somebody comes after you and says, hey man, you were supposed to pay taxes, get an attorney. They'll figure it out. You're not going to go to jail for something like that, right? That's not a realistic fear. That's not a realistic situation where you're going to go to jail because you didn't pay your taxes. No, you're going to go to jail if you didn't pay your taxes, then you were told to pay your taxes, and then you end up still not paying your taxes. So I'd say don't worry about that. But for those of you who ask and who are still listening to this, when you do live in Spain long term, once you cross over the 183-day, you are considered a tax resident here if you're not a tax resident somewhere else. Because I'm already a tax resident in the United States, and because my dates usually turn out to be somewhere between half of the time here and half of the time in the US, I fall somewhere between the 182 to 184 day range. No one's going to come after me asking me to pay taxes because there's a tax treaty between Spain and the US. At some point, Spain might come and say, hey, Dr. Mo, listen, you've been spending so much time here. You got a house here. Now you got a car here. I don't have a car yet, but like, let's say I bought a car. You owe us money. You need to start paying taxes. Great. I'll get an attorney and then I'll figure that out. When that time comes, I think I'll cross that bridge at that time. But there's also a lot of ways to kind of get around this stuff. There's so many channels. Nomad Capitalist is a wonderful resource, I think, for a lot of you who are worried about the situation. If you're a high net worth individual, I'm a high net worth individual, according to the stats. And if you have to navigate that situation, you can be a tax resident of no country. If you're traveling all the time and you can actually let go of your tax obligations in the US, which isn't that difficult to do, and you're traveling perpetually, or you end up spending a lot of time in a country that is never going to enforce its tax residency on you, you end up becoming a tax resident of no place, and you might become a resident of one country, and then you have your bank in another country, and then you have your businesses incorporated in other countries. Guys, I just don't know. Is that stuff really worth it? Because, okay, so let's say you got the tax man on your back and you have $1.5 million net worth, and Spain says you owe us 2% of a million. We'll let go of the 500, we'll just do $1 million. And so $20,000 every year you got to pay in taxes. Okay, so $2,000 a month. Not even. So you pay $2,000 a month, or you pay a $20,000 tax bill at the end of the year, or whenever you can afford it. That's the worst case scenario. And after a year or 2 or 3 where you're like, this is a lot of money that I'm bleeding, it's not worth it, you can always stop, right? You can always leave the country and say, this doesn't make sense to me. But don't necessarily rule something out, because the trade-off might actually really make sense. You might live in a country and be like, I'm willing to pay $150,000 a year from my net worth to be here because I'm doing the kind of work I love. I don't give a shit about my net worth anymore. I'm making money for the sake of being part of the community, feeling satisfied that I'm productive or that I'm learning something, I'm doing something, and that's all I care about. And then on top of that, to add a third layer, you can buy bonds in Spain, you can buy real estate in other countries. There's a lot of ways you can gift your money, you can donate it, you can put it in all sorts of different corporations and structures so that your money never gets taxed, if that's what you really care about. But again, getting away from that. So guys, if you're a physician and you're listening to this, guys and girls and everything else in between, if you're listening to this and you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, I just want to get on the road, man. I just want to, find a telemedicine gig so I can make money online. Don't. Just forget it for a minute. Put your loans on forgiveness. Put your loans on forbearance. Put your loans on deferment, and just get away for a while. Rent out your apartment. Rent out your house, even if you have a mortgage. Who cares if you lose a couple thousand? Take your savings and just spend of that and experience this, and then decide, is this really something you like? Because you really may not like it. So with that said, send me emails if you guys have any questions, drmo@digitalnomadphysician.com, or check out the website at digitalnomadphysician.com. Take care.